to my channel, and today's video is actually a super exciting video because so many of you have been waiting on this video since September and it's February, so I apologize that this is taking me so long to get up for you guys, but I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing to connect to this girl anymore because it was horrible. So I'm sorry this video is all over the place. I do have notes. I literally made a whole guide of like things that I was going to talk about. It's literally this whole page and some, because it's that much. Like, it is insane. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with this video. Please do not send this girl hate if you know her or anything. I don't think that anybody does, because I did not post any pictures with her or anything of that nature, and she wasn't in any of my videos, but just in case, please don't send her hate. I'm done with her. I have moved on, but I wanted to make this video because you guys have asked for it and you guys have been waiting so patiently for it, so I appreciate that so much. But anyways, we're gonna get started. There's also gonna be screenshots posted on the screen as I'm talking. If there is something that you guys can read, then pause the screen to read it, because I personally will not be reading screenshots I'm just gonna remember things. Let's hop in to the video. So I guess we're gonna start off with us meeting. So how did we meet? Where did she come from? Like, where did she go? But so we met on the ETSU girls page. So ETSU has this girls page on Facebook. We met on there because I had made a status saying that I needed a roommate because I was supposed to live with my other roommates, my roommates that I was with, that you guys have seen in videos, but then moving and like living arrangements just changed, so I needed a roommate ASAP because I knew that time was ticking and I needed to find a place to live and I needed to do it with another person. So I put a status out on there saying if anybody needed a roommate and if they were okay with having a dog, because I do have a dog. You guys know that I have Baylor. If not, I have a little Pomeranian Chihuahua. He's so cute. But yeah, so I made a status and she messaged me. Several girls messaged me, but she was the only one that followed through with what she was saying. Because a lot of the girls would be like, oh yeah, like I need a roommate, and then never help me find like apartments or anything, but she actually did. So I was like, okay, great. She seemed nice, and like she didn't seem crazy or anything like that. So I was like, okay, this is great. I'm so excited. So we started apartment hunting super quickly. And we actually met for the first time while going to an apartment to tour, and it was like super late when we ended up touring this apartment. Well, not super late, but it was like 8 p.m. and we ended up touring this apartment, and that is when I officially met her. So that's when I met her. And we toured tons and tons of places together. It was so difficult to find a place that wasn't like in a sketchy area and that wasn't like super outdated, and like it was just getting so late. I will put the time frame of like when we were touring and stuff, because it was pretty late in trying to find an apartment, because if you live in college housing or like in an apartment or whatever, like if you go to a college and like you're trying to find housing, you have to do it early on so you can secure a place. But we did it pretty late because my other living situation that I was in, I thought that it was gonna be great and that's what we were doing, and then it was just like so last minute that like all the places were getting taken, and so it was really difficult to find a place. While we were touring places, she would talk about her ex-roommates, and she would always say that her old roommates were messy, and she told me the story about this one roommate that she had, that she literally divided the fridge in half because she just was like that, and she was like saying all this stuff about her old roommates, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's horrible. Like I am not that type of roommate, that I would never do that, so you don't have to worry. And she was like, yeah, like I'm pretty easy to live with, and saying all this stuff, and I was like, okay, great. And so I thought it was gonna be a great time. Didn't find any problems with meeting her or anything like that, but something that I did notice whenever we were touring all these places was she would like always talk about her like past relationships also. Like she was just talking about boys like crazy, which is fine, like whatever, she was single at the time, so like do whatever you want. But like I was just kind of nervous because she just kept talking about her exes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like okay. But I mean, I wanted us to be friends, so I mean that was fine, whatever. But moving on to move-in day. So we moved in on June 28th, and we were supposed to move in on July 1st, but we didn't because June 28th was a Sunday, and that's when my parents and my lovely boyfriend would come and help me, because July 1st was like a Wednesday or a Tuesday or something like that, so they couldn't have, and so I would have been able, like, I wouldn't have been able to move anything by my, like, I would have, but it wouldn't have been like everything. So they just came up on the 28th and helped me move in, and you guys saw that vlog and everything. So that was super exciting. I was so excited to move into this. It was a townhome. It wasn't even an apartment. It was a townhouse. It was so nice. Loved it. And so I was so excited, and we got everything moved in. And I figured out literally like the first couple days with living with her, she was always having boy issues because she was talking to this guy, and then like they were always having issues, and like she would tell me her issues, which I mean that's great that like I was there for her, like I wanted to be, but she was just having boy issue after another, and then she would like go back to this guy and like whatever. Like I'm not here to talk about her like boy like relationship life, but there was a lot of boy problems, and I was just like, okay. And like she was also, the way that she was talking, she just kind of sounded like she was crazy, you know, like a crazy girlfriend, you know, like we all have our moments, but you know, I was just like, oh, like I don't know how to tell her, you know. Another problem with living with her within the first couple weeks was, well, I only lived there for a couple weeks, well, several weeks, but the first couple like days that I was living there, problem was that she was changing the temperature in the house, the thermostat, like all the time. And if you guys don't know, if you change the thermostat a lot, that changes your electricity bill, and it makes it go up because you're fluctuating so much. And so I literally came back from Morristown, because I live in Morristown, and the apartment was freezing. It literally could have snowed in there. It was so cold. And her and her boyfriend were on the couch, which is fine, like whatever. Like I walked in and they were like freaked out that I was there, even though I live there, but whatever. And so that was a problem. Another problem was she drank my Gatorade, and she also ate my food. Like I literally, like, what, why? And she didn't ask. Like I don't care if you do it, but just ask me, because I don't care to share, like whatever. Either ask and replace the product if you do, because I just think that's the nice thing to do, because we were not on that level of friendship where we could just do that. Even if I would still ask, because my old roommates, like I would always ask them, because I feel weird for taking their food, so I would still ask, and I rarely would even do that. But no, she didn't ask. She literally just took it, and I noticed that they were missing, because I had a 12-pack of lemon lime Gatorade, because that's my favorite, in the fridge, and there was like 4 missing when I came back. And I was like, I texted her, I said, hey, did you and your boyfriend like drink my Gatorade? And she was like, yeah, like I didn't want to, I was drinking water all weekend and I didn't want to drink any more water, but I'll replace them. And then it took her like a whole week to replace them. It took her literally an entire week to replace them, but she ended up replacing them with a whole other color. Like it wasn't even lemon lime, but it's fine. I let it go. But also another thing with the fridge is I see why one of her roommates said to divide the fridge in half, because I tried to keep that fridge organized as possible, and it was just impossible to do, because she would just throw all of her groceries in there, and I would just try to have like a shelf in the fridge to myself, and I couldn't even do that, because it was everywhere. Things were everywhere, and I tried to organize it and I couldn't, and it was just impossible to keep clean. And yeah, speaking of cleanliness, I will insert a video either like on the screen or like I'll talk over it, but literally our apartment was a disaster the entire time I lived there. There were dishes always in the sink, and there was no room for my food. I had one little shelf. We basically had 6 shelving things like in our cabinets of food, and I only had one shelf. And she filled up the rest of them. And granted, I did work a lot. I worked at a bakery, and I worked all the time because I just loved it there. But it doesn't matter. That was still my apartment. I still paid half of it. I paid half for everything, and I like didn't have anywhere to put my food, like at all. Like it was impossible. Like you guys will see. Like it's a disaster, and there was stuff everywhere. I don't care if your room is a disaster, but the living area and the kitchen is like a common space to share, and so I feel like that place should be clean and put together, but it wasn't ever, and it was just so annoying. That's a problem. But then by the end of July, her boyfriend decides to move in. Okay, also speaking of her boyfriend, they only knew each other for not even a month, and they were already like, he was already moving here because he wasn't from Tennessee. So he ended up moving in, and she texted me which was really nice. She was like, hey, so my boyfriend's gonna move in, but he's gonna pay rent and he's gonna pay half the or like for the utilities and stuff too, so it'll be less for us. And yeah, but he's only gonna be here for like 2 months max. I didn't even make it to 2 months staying there because it was that horrible. But he moves in and he didn't have a job already lined up, which I thought was really weird, because if you're moving to another state, you should definitely have a job lined up so you can have money, because, you know, but it's fine. Not everybody is, you know, like that and thinks that way, but it's fine. He literally did not pay rent or utilities for the entire time I was there. I moved out like August 8th, I want to say. Did not pay anything until I moved out. Actually, after I moved out, because I had to ask for it. So that was really aggravating. And I was like, obviously I could have said no to her whenever she said that her boyfriend was moving in, but she didn't really give me an option to say no. She just told me that he was moving in, and I was like, all right, like, you know, and I don't want to be like that roommate to be like, no, like, your boyfriend can't move in, but like, his name is not on the lease. He didn't sign a lease. So anyways, on August 3rd, I found out that my classes were gonna be all online because the Department of Media and Communications at ETSU was all online, which is fine. So I decided that I was gonna move home, as you guys saw. So I texted her. I said, hey, all my classes are online and my parents want me to move home, which they did want me to move home because that's saving money for rent and like everything. And I wanted to move home anyway because my mental health at this point was just not doing good. Like, it was plummeting, let me tell you guys. And it was just not doing good. So I thought that it would be a really good idea for me to move home as well. So I texted her saying I was going to move home and that we would have to figure something out about the apartment and yada yada whatever. And so she said, hey, like, I'm at work, we'll talk about it later. And I was like, cool, great. So in order to get out of our lease, you would have to pay $1,800, which is 2 months worth of rent. Which makes sense, because if you want to leave, then you can pay that and you'll be fine, whatever. So I ended up texting her saying something along the lines of like, hey, like the buyout, or she texted me about the buyout, and I was thinking in my head like, hey, like, I'll find another roommate to take my spot and then we'll be fine. She doesn't have to pay that, and then we get to keep the security deposit and whatever. And that was not the case. So she wanted me to pay the entire buyout when she was also moving out. So if she would have stayed there, then I would have understood, and like neither one of us would have had to pay the buyout, but she also wanted to move out. So I was like, okay, like, that makes sense. Like, you'll pay for half of it, right? No, didn't want to pay for half of it, and she literally threw a fit. You guys, like, you'll see in the screenshots, read them. Like, I don't even understand why I had to deal with this, because it was so annoying. Because it only makes sense, right? If you both are moving out, you pay half of the buyout, right? Yes. But she said that she wasn't financially stable to do that and to forfeit our security deposit. But that doesn't make any sense to me, because if you are not financially stable to do that, then why are you even moving out in the first place? Because her parents live in Johnson City. So I didn't understand why she was moving out when she did not have the money to move out. You know what I'm saying? Like, she refuses to pay her half. She also consults her aunt, and her aunt is supposedly a lawyer. I say supposedly because I don't know her family, so I don't know, but she said her aunt was a lawyer and basically was trying to take me to court over paying $1,800. Not even $1,800, it would be $900 because it was half. And literally wanted to take me to court, and I was like, okay, well, we're not going to do that, because this is literally so stupid. Like, we do not need to go to court over this, like, whatever. So I told her that I would pay the $1,800 because I'm not dealing with it. I was also at work at this point, and I had told her several times that I was at work, and she just refused to stop texting me, and I was getting so heated at work because I was like, why am I having to deal with this? This is so stupid. Why me, you know? So then I ended up going home for the weekend, and I told my mom that about the whole situation, and she was like, oh, she wants to bring like a lawyer into the picture. She wants to take us to court. Like, that's fine. We'll go to court, because she knows that we will win. Like, we will win this court case, because literally we are both breaking the lease. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely would have won, but I told her that we were going to go to court, and she blew up again. saying that I've screwed her over and that she wasn't going to be able to go to college now because blah, 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 blah. And it was just literally a whole disaster. And then her mom decides to find me on Instagram. I don't think I have the screenshots for this, but if I do, I'll post it or I'll put it up. But literally, her mom decides to find me on Instagram, which is obviously not that hard because there's only so many Vivians in the world, especially with 2 N's spelled the same way as me. And so she finds me on Instagram, DMs me saying, hey, I need your mother's phone number. And I'm like, excuse me, my mom is not on the lease and neither is she, so I don't know why she is trying to get into the picture because we should solve this on our own because we are on the lease. We signed the lease. My parents did not sign the lease and hers did not either. So I'm like, okay, no. Like, so I like didn't even see this DM until the next day, but she still DM'd me. And then she also DM'd me saying like, because her daughter, my roommate, texted me and was like, my mom needs your mom's phone number. And I was like, I'm not giving you my mom's phone number. She's not on the lease. This is so unnecessary. She basically was saying, she was like, oh, like you don't want to give me your mom's phone number because she's scared and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, this is so ridiculous. Is this like, am I wrong here? Like, what? And so her mom also DM'd me again, found my mom's nail salon page, like literally not page, but nail salon on Google when I've never told them where she's worked or anything. I have zero idea how she found out. Like, does that not sound crazy? And I don't know what she was gonna do, but I guess she was gonna call mom's work or something. I don't even know, but I was just over it. So then my roommate gave her mom my phone number, and so here she goes freaking texting me, and I was gonna text her back a really long message, and then I asked her to call her because I was over it. I was over texting because I'm not texting about this anymore. So we talked about it on the phone, and her mom was really nice, really reasonable. She's always been super nice, and she said we'll work things out and we don't have to go to court because that's really unnecessary. And I'm like thinking, your daughter was the one who wanted to go to court. I was never the one who brought it up, but okay. We ended up talking about it. We talked it all out and it was fine. Basically, we got things figured out. We ended up communicating through her mom because she was never civil with things because she just wanted to yell at me, and I was just like, are we grown adults or are we not here? Like, obviously you're acting like a child. So I just talked through her mom about like paying for the rest of the utilities and everything like that because it's only fair to pay your half because we shared the bills and everything. But obviously, whatever. So basically, we ended up paying the $1,800. We sent out the check and to our landlord because I did not want them to see any of that money because they did not deserve any of it because what we had to go through was insane. And the landlord even was on my side because he was like, oh my goodness. So it was just so bad. So we ended up sending out the check, and then they also still owed me money for her boyfriend's part of the rent. It was like part of the rent and the utilities. It was like $270, and I texted her mom and I said, hey, the landlord received my check. Where is my money? Because that is $270. That is very useful. And they were like, oh, well, the landlord can text us that he's received your check and we will give you your money. And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, what? Like, what? Because I literally sent it out and they like don't believe me. Like, obviously I'm gonna pay the $1,800 because that is like, that's the only way we're getting out of release. She has no obligation to pay me $270. So I was just like, I'm never gonna see this money. And then out of nowhere I received it, so that was nice. But yeah, so ended up paying it. Backing up though, whenever I told her that I was moving out, I was going to move out at the end of the month, the end of August, but it had gotten so bad and she was being so hostile that I was scared, and so was my mom. My mom was scared for my safety, which I understand because she's literally insane. And so I ended up moving all of my stuff that I owned, like all the decorations, all of the kitchen stuff, and anything that I could move into my room. I did. I moved it all into my room, and then I went home for the night because I just felt so unsafe living there that I just moved everything to my room, went home for the night, or 2 nights. I think it was just 1 night, honestly. And I was smart and I put something behind my door, small enough for me to slide out, but you could tell if someone would open it. So I put a little command box behind my door, and I shut the door, and but I didn't want to lock it because, well, I couldn't lock it because I didn't have the key to lock my door, which was so aggravating. I go home and then I come back the next day and I go and like peep my head in the door, and my command box was literally, you could tell that she had opened the entire door, like opened it up completely, because the command strip box was moved like wide open. Not like she didn't peek her head in there. No, she opened the entire door. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I took a video and pictures of everything in my room before I left, because she is just like that type of person. I was just so worried. And so I texted her and I was like, hey, why did you come into my room? And she said, oh, well, my boyfriend said that you were moving and you were packing up your stuff, so I was just wondering if you moved out. Obviously, I did not move out because I still had a chair there. I had rugs there and my washer and dryer. My parents bought us a washer and dryer for our apartment, which was so nice of them, was still there. So obviously, I did not move out yet. There was no need to go in my room. Like, my belongings were still there. So I was just mind blown. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm over it. I was like, no, I did not move out. My stuff is still here. And it was just so bad. But after I told her that I was paying the $1,800, she was so nice to me, because obviously we're paying money, and she was fine. She was fine after that, but I was just so over it, and I was so happy that I was moving home. Yeah, that's basically my story. I know that a lot of people have it way worse than that for a roommate story, but that was my story. You guys have been waiting so long to hear it. I hope it's everything that you've ever hoped for, but it was literally a nightmare. Like, I have never experienced something just like that. It was horrible. Her boyfriend also stayed there the entire day because he did not have a job, and used up the electric and the water bill and made it go up so much. And I just didn't understand, because I was never there, so the water bill should have not been that much, and she also worked, so I didn't understand why it was the way it was. Like, it was just it was ridiculously expensive for no reason. That's my roommate story. That was a lot. It's going to be a lot to edit, I know, with putting the screenshots up and stuff, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys never ever have to experience a roommate horror story, because it's the worst. But if you do have roommate horror stories, let me know in the comments, because I'm just curious and I love reading your all's comments. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.